Howdy, folks, and welcome to today's live stream. I'm Lewis, and this is Free China. Hope you guys are all having a great day. This is going to be a rather quick live stream. Wow, I have been so busy recently, but I just had to talk about this because I saw something very interesting coming out of China within the last couple of days, and it's really quite amusing and disturbing at the same time. I'm pretty sure that this live stream is going to get demonetized by the powers that be at YouTube because for some reason they really seem to love this guy.
Oh my God.
So I hope everyone can hear me okay in the stream. Let me know if the audio is nice and clear. And I'm just going to pull up what we're going to be talking about today. Alrighty, here we are. So, brief introduction as to who this is. This is Mao Ning. I'm not sure if she's any relation to Mao Zedong, but she is a spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in China. She's one of their diplomats, and she talks about foreign affairs, obviously, because she works for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And she quite often does press briefings and she gets questions. She has a little question time. Usually her answers are pretty well prepared and choreographed. But I think this question took her by surprise. And let's listen to what happened here because it is actually pretty hilarious. And yeah, Mike, I'm not sure if she's Mao Xinyu's daughter. That's Mao Zedong's grandson, for anybody who doesn't know. And he's a little bit special. Let's just say that. Not quite as special as this guy. It's pretty goddamn special. So anyway, let's listen to what she says and how she reacts when she's caught off guard. So let's check it out.
下一个问题。
So next question.
Thank you, Bloomberg News. You say that China is the safest country in the world, but I just wonder, by what measure are you using? How do you back that up?
我想你生活在中国，你应该也能感受到吧？我说这个话呢，是从大家的评价、大家的评论，来中国旅游的人，还有中国人民的评价。生活在中国，我们确实感觉很安全。下一个问题。
Okay, let's just take that back and let's look at it one more time. Okay, so the question.
I just wonder, by what measure are you using? How do you back that up?
Okay, so these diplomats and the shills for China and anybody that pushes the propaganda for China, one of their biggest talking points is that China is the safest country on the planet. But where do they get this information from? From what measure can you base this fact on that they always spit out? They're constantly saying that China is the safest place on the planet. Her answer is, so you live in China. She's saying to the guy, you live in China, right?
生活在中国，你应该
And you should be able to feel the same way too.
也能感受到吧？我说这个
I say this based on everyone's
话
comment.
呢，是从大家的评价、大家的评
People who come to China to travel and the Chinese people's comments.
论，来中国旅游的人，还有中国人民的评价。生活在中国，我们确
We do feel very safe living in China. Yeah, because you said so.
实感觉很安全。
You feel very safe living in China. I'm pretty sure that there are many people who travel to North Korea for a little holiday, right? And I'm pretty sure that they come back safe and sound. So just because they have the opinion that North Korea is safe, does that mean it's the safest country on the planet? I don't think so, right? So her basis is that some people who have traveled there have said that it's safe, and some people that live there have said it's safe. But, you know, what about all of the people that have problems in China, right? Is it safe for these people? Is it safe for the Uyghurs? Is it safe for somebody who wants to practice Falun Gong, or just somebody who has a different opinion to the Chinese Communist Party? Yeah, China is definitely the safest place to be, unless you start criticizing the CCP, right? You start criticizing the government. Just a common thing that we do here in the UK and in other democratic countries. We like to criticize our government, but go to China and criticize the government, and it's definitely not going to be the safest country ever. I feel pretty safe living at home in the UK, right? Does that mean it's the safest country? No, not really. Just a feeling. That's how she bases her information that China is the safest country. Good one. And look, awkward, so awkward.
下一个问题。
下一个问题 Next question. Okay, so China is really, really safe. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw this clip recently. On the 22nd of this month, there was a video of some rocket debris smashing into a village in China. Oh my god. Yeah, that is scary. Look at the yellow smoke as well. Some toxic smoke coming off of it. People like legging it, fleeing. Oh my god. Yeah, really, really safe, right? So as you can see what I wrote there, the debris fell shortly after one of China's Long March 2C rockets was launched in Sichuan province. Wow. I mean, like if this happened for a space launch in the US, right? If, one of their rockets like came hurtling down from the sky and smashed into a village with toxic smoke coming off of it, that would be world news. That would be like all over the news everywhere. Now, I'm not saying that this wasn't covered in the news, right? But this is supposed to be like the second largest economy in the world. This is a supposed rich country, a superpower, and they're letting one of their rockets drop down on their own population, and they don't really seem to give a shit about it. That's crazy. That is absolute madness. Look at it. Like that footage is just harrowing to look at that. Like, let's just watch it one more time. What's going on? Yeah, as Mike Stewart says there, long march, more like short fall. Yeah, you're right, dude. Look at it. What I find funny as well is that China has this like high-tech futuristic space program, right? They're claiming that they've got one of the best space programs in the entire world, and yet they still claim as a developing country, and they get handouts from lots of other countries. Like I remember reading an article that the UK sent China like something like 80 million pounds in donations because they're a developing country, even though China owns a lot of the debt in the UK as well, which doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, but so this is a country that's claiming that they're developing, yet they're the second largest economy on this planet. They have a top-notch space program, and yet they're still getting handouts from other governments around the world. Also, like governments that they apparently are against, like democratic countries, that are giving them handouts. They're accepting all of that. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that this country has this top-notch space program, but then they can't even warn their citizens that a rocket debris is going to crash down into their village, or they can't take the necessary precautions. That is a joke. Look at that. Scary, man. Scary. And yeah, China, safe, really safe country. Really safe. Just what Mao Ning, the wolf warrior, said
Again,
China is super safe. 4 US college instructors were stabbed in a public park in China. I'm sure you guys have all heard about what happened here, right? But once again, just shows that China is not really the safest country right now for foreigners, okay? And they keep saying that this was an isolated incident. We're going to see more of this in a second. Let's just move along. Okay, so as you can see here, we have just recently there was a Japanese mother and a child were stabbed in China on a bus, and Beijing called it an irregrettable but isolated, which is exactly what they said about the American guys that got stabbed recently as well. Okay, and this happened in Suzhou. I don't know if you guys know Suzhou. It's in Jiangsu, which is very close to Shanghai, right? It's a really it's a top level city. It's one of the top tier cities in China. And this kind of thing is happening. A Japanese mother and child stabbed in China. And it's definitely not an isolated incident. And what also isn't isolated is the hatred that Chinese people, well, what the Chinese government tries to teach the people to hate Japanese people. And now I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that this is all Chinese people, but this is definitely something that the government is pushing, this whole hatred of the Japanese people. And we're going to look into that a little bit. Okay, so very quickly, here is the actual article. So it says Chinese police have detained a man accused of, accused of stabbing 3 people, including a Japanese mother and her young child who were waiting for a bus used by a local Japanese school, local authorities said. An unemployed man in his 50s was arrested after attacking the mother, her preschooler, her preschooler, and a Chinese woman in the city of Suzhou, which is near Shanghai, according to the Suzhou Public Security Bureau. The Chinese woman was the most critically injured in the knife attack. I guess she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, Reuters reported, and had to be hospitalized. The Japanese mother and her child did not receive life-threatening injuries, the report said. At a press briefing, okay, yeah, so as we saw, she said it was regrettable, but an isolated incident. No, it's not an isolated incident. Okay, let's move on from this article. And this is how the Global Times reported it. So Suzhou, Global Times, by the way, is Chinese state media. It's in the English language, so it's propaganda designed to try and trick you and me and everybody else that speaks English. And it says Suzhou attack, an isolated case. That's the first thing that they say. It's an isolated case, not like how the victims are or anything like that. Well, they do say it, but the first thing is we must know that this was only an isolated case, even though it's happening recently all over China. There's been mass stabbings all over. Every time I look on the Chinese internet or I look on Twitter in people's feeds who generally post about China related stuff, there's something about somebody being stabbed. It's absolute chaos right now by the looks of things, you know, like it seems like mass stabbings are out of control there, and they want to say that this is an isolated case. I don't think so. It's really crazy what's going on. And here's video of the incident. Okay, it was on a bus, on a school bus. Don't worry, very quickly, disclaimer, YouTube, no, there is no blood on this. Everything is censored. There's no graphic violence. It's all been censored. You're not going to see a thing. Okay? Here it is. Again, people crowding around. not really having much of a clue what to do, right? Typical in that situation. Safe country, right, Mao Ning? Very safe. Okay, and just to show you, this is some of the reactions on the Chinese internet, okay, from some of the people, especially, when they were reading an article about what happened, about the stabbing, okay. And here's one of them. I've translated it so we don't have to read it in the Chinese, but a normal school does not need this kind of closed education because education itself is open, and it is really puzzling to build a school on Chinese soil that cannot allow Chinese children to go to school or even allow them to come close. It's talking about how there's a school only for Japanese students, but it's really like an international school for all of the Japanese people that work in that area. They've come all the way from Japan, they bring their families with them, and they send their children to that school so they can get a Japanese education. It's not much different from like an international school, for example. So this person's like, oh, we shouldn't have Japanese schools in our country. Yeah, okay. Why not? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? And I'm pretty sure, like, have they even ever tried to send a Chinese student there? I think a Chinese student should be allowed to go there, right? I hope the country will take action to drive all Japanese out of China. Must be driven away. By the way, some of these comments have had a lot of likes as well, right? This next one, 1,869. Look at what Japan has done in recent years. We have to be aware of Japanese ambitions. The Chinese nation has a blood feud with Japanese imperialism and cannot allow the Japanese to have schools in our country. Okay. Another person, eradicate all Japanese schools. Chinese people must not forget history. The history happened like 70 years ago or whatever, right? Get over it. Seriously. Okay, yeah. Japan did some horrible things to China, but this Japan now is not the same Japan that did those horrible things. And I'm pretty sure those people on the bus had nothing to do with what Japan did to China back in World War II and before World War II, right? So what is going on? Why all of this rhetoric about, like, don't forget the history? I mean, gosh, when I see a German person, I'm not going to freak out and say, oh, remember our history. God. And anyway, you get stupid nationalists like this in every country, okay? But this channel just happens to talk about the stuff that happens in China. So we're just going to highlight this, okay? As long as it doesn't cause trouble for the country, everything is right to mess with Japan. Thumbs up. So they're basically saying it's all right to go and stab Japanese people. Are there still Japanese settlements in China? There is a Japanese school which is completely enclosed and has a very high wall. The teachers and students are considered Japanese. Why should we give Japanese schools? And there's this one, demolish Japanese schools in China. Eliminate security risks you support. Do you agree with the demolition of 137 Japanese schools in China? So some people are calling to tear these schools down. I hope that Little Japan will be moved. They're talking about Xiaoruben. They call them Little Japan. Will be moved out of China, and that Little Japan will not be allowed to run schools in China. Nothing good will happen if Little Japan comes to China. There have been no good people in Little Japan since ancient times. Anyway, guys, you get the point here, right? And again, some of these comments, I've just like picked random ones. I'm sure there are some good comments as well, okay? Sorry that we're just focusing on the negative here. There must be some good comments as well, obviously, right? Not everybody supports this absolute bullshit, but it is horrible to see. Really safe. Okay, this is a video that got taken off of my YouTube channel for hate speech, and that's because I didn't put any commentary over it, because this is literally hate speech taught in Chinese schools, in kindergartens. You've got these kids dressed up and they're having this little mock play, this little mock war scenario, I guess you could say, about the Japanese invading China and how they're going to kill these Japanese invaders. It's pretty quick. Look, fight against the Japanese devil. So there's a traitor killing you. So these are the Japanese. So here come the Chinese. Look how many times you could shoot them. Is that really necessary? Is China really safe? Something on the Japanese flag, the Israeli flag there. I mean, if anybody did that to the Chinese flag, come on. You wouldn't do that, would you? Again, look, he's ripping it off there. And he's stomping on it. Great. And, this is kids at school. All right, now next is possibly the most disturbing one. Yeah? So let's see. Okay, today in class, several students showed me a drawing made by another student. Now look, if you can't read the Chinese, he's wrote here, 我爱日本人, which means I love Japanese people. Okay, he's drawn his little picture, yeah? Okay, so let's just watch this.
另外一个学生画的画来让我看，说老师你看他画的什么？这是1年级刚上完美术课，我看看你们写的。
So the other students, the project was to draw a picture and write about you love China or something like that, So the other kids have done it. Look. It says 我是中国人,我爱中国. That one says 我爱中国,我是中国人.
对，这才对嘛。
Teacher's like, yep.
是你
Here's the kid that wrote 我爱 I love Japanese people.
画的吗？哎，你跟我说，你为什么要写它？为什么要写这几个字？
我记我写了的。
So he says he forgot about
忘记什么？
wrote.
写了。
忘记写了。
He forgot what to write.
什么叫忘记写了？
What do you mean?
啊？
I forgot how to spell Chinese.
这个人是我记了。
So he's saying he forgot how to write the characters.
写中国人的时候忘记写了。那你能写日本人？啊？手伸出来。
So just here, he whacks him on the hand. I cut this bit out. Obviously, you don't want to be seeing that.
还写吗？我告诉你，你是中国人，你要记着，听见没有？什么老师都可以原谅你们，什么错误都可以犯，但是这种错误绝对不能犯，知道吗？你们都听见了吗？当着我的面把它撕掉，
Tear it up. In front of my
使劲
eyes.
撕。
Disturbing, isn't it?
扔到垃圾桶去。谁再敢写这样的话，我直接就让你回家，听见没有？啊，这个学校不要你这样的学生，你可记住了吗？
I found that clip a couple of days ago, and I'd like to think that that's a parody. I would like to think that that's a parody, and I hope that I find out that it's a parody, because it's just disturbing, right? Disturbing that this is going on in a school somewhere in the world, I know that if that happened in a school that I worked in, I would definitely try to correct that sort of behavior, teaching discrimination and hate for another country. It's really really disturbing to see that, actually. All right, and this is another video that I found. Again, it's just showing you that, you know, and like I've said, not everybody is going to get brainwashed by this, okay? Like, I am a big advocate for media not being responsible for brainwashing people. I would like to think that, you know, people are sensible and people can see through this kind of bullshit. But when that's all you're fed and you're not allowed to consume anything else, then I think there's a massive problem there, right? And this is just another example of something that's been posted online. And again, it's just teaching people to hate. And it's from a past that happened so many years ago that it's not even relevant to today, because these two countries are both completely different now. Chinese people and dogs are not allowed.
你们这是什么学校？大日本帝国鱼人学校。你什么人？那个当然是我们日本人了。这里的什么？教育的是我的哪里话？都从哪里话？我也不对。
Okay, that's like a joke about Japanese people's pronunciation that I don't get. I don't understand what they're on about. If anybody has a clue what they're on about there. When I translated that, I was like, what the hell are they even saying? Look, it's like, what do they teach? We teach where to dig potatoes? Digging in the south? Dig a sack? I don't get it. Anyway, that's not the point. What on earth are you teaching?
中国猪，我告诉你吧。
Teach you, Chinese pig. What?
让我告诉这个陈大厨，我们想让大日本帝国。
We want to let the blood of Japanese imperialism to enter China's land and grow.
的血液进入你们中国大地，生根发芽。
We want to let the
让我们大日本帝国的
descendants of the Japanese Empire flow into China. What the hell?
子孙流入中国。
Once again, YouTube, this is just a parody. It's a little skit and it's not real. Okay, before you start to freak out and demonetize me. This really hit him there, YouTube. Not really hit him. Okay? Look, it didn't hit it. Get Gwen Chu Zhonghua. Heard that before. Get out of China.
中国大地上。
In the great land of China, Japanese schools are not allowed. See, it's very specific as well. Japanese schools are not allowed.
不允许日本学校。
Oh my god. Right. Okay, guys, so you see how ridiculous it is. And like I said, not everyone is going to be brainwashed by this bullshit, right? And hopefully that is the case, yeah? But even if somebody, just one person sees that and thinks, oh yeah, actually, that's right, we should try and get rid of all of Japanese schools. And, you know, who knows what this person that went onto that Japanese school bus was thinking, and what was this person like watching and consuming? What kind of media was this person consuming before they went and committed this heinous act, you know? So this is just another crazy thing that unfortunately you see all over China. When I was living in China for all of those years, I did hear a lot of hate towards Japanese people. And there even was a Japanese school where I lived in Dalian. It was close to a place called Fujiazhuang, which is by the beach. And there's a Japanese school there. So it's quite worrying to think, you know, and it would be quite worrying to be a Japanese person in China right now, especially with all of this hate going around. And, you know, it's a bit of a weird one, but you know, Chinese people, they love Japanese products and they love Japanese like animes and music and Japanese culture and that kind of thing. So it would be good if they could just love the Japanese people as well, and cut this crap out with all of this hateful content towards Japanese people. It's pretty scary, it's pretty ridiculous. And that's all I've really got to say for today's stream, guys. You know, and now, hate is something that happens all over the world, and there are racist assholes in every single country, including China. And when this Mao Ning woman comes on with her lies and her rhetoric, talking about how China is the safest country on the planet, well, it's not safe for some people. Okay. And although it might appear safe when you go there, because it can be a very safe place, but it doesn't mean that it's the safest place on on the planet. And I would like to actually see her statistics and where she's actually getting this information from, not just making it up on a whim just because a couple of people said that China is the safest country. So one more time, let's hear her little speech. Let's take it back to the start.
下一个问题。
Thank you, Bloomberg News. You say that China is the safest country in the world, but I just wonder, by what measure are you using? How do you back that up?
我想你生活在中国，你应该也能感受到吧？我说这个话呢，是从大家的评价、大家的评论，来中国旅游的人，还有中国人民的评价。生活在中国，我们确实感觉很安全。 下一个问题。
Oh my.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Sorry, I'm not going to stick around and talk to anybody in the chat today because I've got a little bit of crap to do. I'm kind of busy today. So hope you enjoyed today's little stream. Remember, try not to hate people based on where they're from, because that is absolutely ridiculous. All right, then, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one. We're going to try and do another stream next week. It's going to be a weekly thing. Hopefully it'll be every Thursday. Okay, so keep your eyes open. And have a good rest of the day, whatever you're doing. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.